In 1943, a U.S. Navy ship disappeared, not destroyed, not sunk. It vanished into thin air and reappeared 200 miles away in seconds. In a vault in Turin, Italy, lies a cloth that bears the image of a crucified man. Science has tried for decades to prove it's fake. They failed. In 1989, a physicist named Bob Lazar walked into a TV station and said 5 words that changed everything. "I worked on alien spacecraft." The government called him a liar. Then, 30 years later, the Pentagon admitted UFOs are real. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are documented events. Events with witnesses. Events with evidence. Events that no one can explain. What you're about to see will make you question everything you thought was impossible. Because sometimes the truth is stranger than any fiction. Chapter 1. The Shroud of Turin. In the heart of Turin's cathedral, locked behind bulletproof glass, rests what may be the most analyzed artifact in human history. A 14-foot linen cloth bearing the full-body image of a crucified man. For believers, this is the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. For skeptics, it's the greatest forgery ever created. In 1988, 3 independent labs performed carbon dating. The verdict? The cloth dated to between 1260 and 1390 AD, medieval, not ancient. Case closed. But under microscopic analysis, researchers froze. There was no paint, no dye, no pigment of any kind, just burnt fibers. The image exists only on the topmost surface, creating a photographic negative 600 years before photography existed. The blood was real. Type AB. The wounds matched Roman crucifixion exactly, with nails through the wrists, not the palms. A detail artists got wrong for 1,300 years, because no one knew the truth. Pollen embedded in the fabric only grows in Jerusalem and Anatolia, places a medieval forger in Europe would never access. To create this image would require a burst of electromagnetic radiation so intense, it would be like capturing a photograph with a nuclear flash. But this cloth is 2,000 years old. No laboratory on Earth can replicate it. Millions have been spent trying. So the question haunts us still. If it's a forgery, how? And if it's real, what kind of event leaves an image burned into cloth by pure light? Chapter 2. The Philadelphia Experiment. October 28, 1943. At the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, witnesses claim the U.S. Navy attempted something that would shatter the boundaries of known physics. The USS Eldridge, surrounded by electromagnetic generators, was part of a classified experiment to make ships invisible to enemy radar. According to eyewitness accounts, when the generators powered up, a green fog enveloped the ship. Then, in front of dozens of sailors on nearby vessels, the Eldridge vanished. Not from radar, from sight. Sailors at Norfolk Naval Base, 200 miles away, reported seeing a destroyer materialize in their harbor before vanishing again. The ship allegedly teleported. When it returned, boarding crews found crew members in severe distress. The stories are horrifying. The evidence? Non-existent. The U.S. Navy officially denies the experiment. Their statement is clear. It never happened. Complete fabrication. Here's what we know for certain. In 1943, the Navy was conducting degaussing experiments, wrapping ships in electromagnetic fields to protect against magnetic mines. Real science. Could this technology have been misunderstood or exaggerated into legend? The main source? Carlos Allende, who sent letters describing the experiment in 1955. His story changed repeatedly. He used multiple names. In 1994, veteran Edward Dudgeon, who served on the Eldridge, testified, "We were never in Philadelphia that October. Nothing unusual happened." It's fiction. So what really happened on October 28, 1943? A revolutionary experiment covered up by the military? A mundane test transformed into myth? or an elaborate hoax. 7 decades later, no physical evidence exists. Just stories, theories, and the haunting possibility that something happened that day we're not meant to understand. Chapter 3. Cahokia. In the heart of Illinois, just across from modern St. Louis, lies evidence of something that shouldn't exist. The ruins of a massive city that once rivaled London in size, built 500 years before Columbus arrived. Welcome to Cahokia. At its peak around 1100 AD, 20,000 people lived here. By 1400 AD, it was completely abandoned. At the center stands Monk's Mound, the largest prehistoric earthwork in the Americas. Over 100 feet tall, covering 14 acres. Built entirely by hand, one basket of soil at a time. An estimated 22 million cubic feet of earth moved over 300 years. Archaeologists discovered something even stranger. Woodhenge, a circle of cedar posts arranged to track the sun's movement with perfect precision. The posts mark solstices, equinoxes, and celestial events. An ancient astronomical observatory. But the Cahokians left no written records explaining how they calculated these positions. Evidence suggests Cahokia was a trade hub connecting cultures across the continent. Artifacts from the Gulf Coast, Great Lakes, and Rocky Mountains have been found here. Materials that traveled thousands of miles to this city. Inside Mound 72, archaeologists found something disturbing. The remains of over 270 people. Some were clearly sacrificial victims, buried alive. Young women arranged in precise patterns. What ritual demanded such sacrifice? By 1200 AD, construction stopped. The population declined. By 1400, Cahokia was empty. Theories range from climate change to resource depletion to social collapse. But no definitive evidence explains why 20,000 people walked away. When Europeans arrived in the 1600s, they found only grass-covered mounds. The tribes nearby had no memory of who built them. Today, Cahokia stands as proof that advanced civilization thrived in North America long before colonization. But the questions remain. Who were these people? And what drove them to abandon their city, erasing themselves from history? Chapter 4. Area 51 and Bob Lazar. In the Nevada desert, 83 miles north of Las Vegas, sits the most classified military facility on Earth. Its official name, Groom Lake. The world knows it as Area 51. For decades, the U.S. government denied it even existed. Then in 2013, declassified CIA documents finally admitted the truth. It's real. In November 1989, a man named Bob Lazar sat down for a Las Vegas news interview. Nervous, sweating, face hidden. Then he said something that would change UFO history forever. I worked at a facility called S4, south of Area 51. My job was to reverse engineer extraterrestrial spacecraft. Lazar described 9 flying discs stored in hangars built into the mountainside. He claimed the propulsion system used element 115, which didn't exist on the periodic table. The scientific community dismissed him. His credentials couldn't be verified. MIT and Caltech had no records of him. But then, something strange happened. In 2003, Russian scientists synthesized element 115 in a laboratory. It existed. Lazar had described it 14 years before science created it. Coincidence? Lucky guess? Skeptics point out his description of its properties was wrong. Lazar provided specific details about Area 51's layout and flight test schedules. He took friends to the desert where they witnessed glowing craft performing impossible maneuvers. The footage exists, but investigators found troubling inconsistencies. His employment records vanished. He had legal troubles and credibility issues. In 2017, the Pentagon released official footage of Navy pilots encountering unidentified aerial phenomena, objects moving in ways that violate physics. The government admitted, We don't know what they are. Suddenly, Lazar's claims didn't seem so impossible. Bob Lazar remains one of the most controversial figures in UFO history. Is he a whistleblower who exposed humanity's biggest secret? A fantasist who got lucky with Element 115? Or someone who saw something real but embellished it? The government won't confirm or deny his employment. Area 51 still operates in complete secrecy, and Lazar maintains his story to this day, unchanged for over 30 years. The truth remains locked behind those desert fences,